Good evening, Mayor, respected Mayor and Council and City Manager. Thanks for taking time. So, City IT budget was 6.7 million in 2021, and it grew by almost 45% to 9.67 million in 2023. I attended the budget training session a couple of weeks ago in City Council, and there was a request for additional resources and additional budget. Uh, with COVID, we all have seen how the business is moving towards digital. Now, I'm in the business of digital and technology for last 31 years. What doesn't change is the increasing cost. And when I was looking at the IT expenses and the overall projections, we are here to serve the people, not to do the technology business, right? So that in the industry has moved towards cloud, SaaS, and other available technologies. Naperville has more than 300 small and mid-sized businesses and thousands of residents who are with Fortune 100 or the top 10 IT companies, right? And we have abundant resources who can volunteer and help the city shape the next wave of digital technology or the digital adoption or the processes. We do that every day with our customers, and I'm sure if city, the management has the will, we should look and consider a digital advisory council, a voluntary organization, or a board, however deemed fit, that goes in and recommends, first of all, shares their experience, evaluates how we are serving our customer. I myself would love to see myself as one individual with everything around me, customer 360 or stakeholder 360. That's not where we are today, but we can do it if we have the right technology and the right people helping the city. For that, we don't need to hire a lot of individuals, but see how we can rely with that. So I recommend introduction of a digital advisory council by the city, or at least look at it, evaluate it, and maybe I can help. There are many individuals who can help for the governing council. That's my request. Thank you.
Councilman Holzhauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, I had a couple of follow-up questions on that. So first of all, you mentioned cloud computing. What do you identify that the city's doing where you think that could provide an improvement?
So again, I work for Salesforce, but this is not to push Salesforce
Sure.
as a product, but we are into almost every federal, state, governments and municipalities use Salesforce for their CRM, right? And when I say CRM, it is not just dealing with the customers, but all the processes that are underlying. So whether it is contract processing, whether it is utilities, whether it is billing, whether it is permits. One of the biggest issues is when we apply for permits, even today, again, I'm not criticizing, it is just the inconvenience is the paper. We have to carry the paper and the permits take time. Now, during the COVID, that has accelerated. We still have some patchwork, right? Again, it's all in silos. But Google does that, Salesforce does it. What I'm trying to say is the underlying business processes, if we identify and recommend solutions, that might help the city.
Okay, then turn to Jackie. So with regard to Mr. Jaiswal's comments about using some kind of CRM platform, doesn't have to be Salesforce, could be one of the competitors.
Right.
What would you, actually, if you stay up there, I have follow-up questions for you too, but what would you say about that?
Director Nguyen.
Jackie Nguyen, IT Director. So before we consider buying something as extensive and as significant as a CRM, the first thing we need to do is look at the workflows and the interfaces, right? So there's got to be, so this is think about it as the interface to the residents. So some of the requirements that I can think of is it's a one-stop shop for a resident to pay bills, to, purchase, to pay utility bills, to pay tickets. So that means that this CRM needs to be connected to a lot of other internal systems that we have in terms of tickets, because not all of that informations are in different systems. So it is a project, a significant project to map out the workflows, the requirement, much like what we're doing right now with the CAD RMS. It is not something that we can basically, it's a huge investment. It's not something that we can basically just do in a few months.
Yeah, I understand that. When you say it's, I mean, what kind of a transition period would we be talking about? Would it be 2 years, 3 years, 1 year? I mean, how long does it take to implement?
It depends
Yeah.
on the focus and the priority of the staff. So if we're undertaking, say, 70 projects next year, let's say half of them are at the size of CAD RMS and the radio, obviously we will need, more staff or basically a different focus. And so there needs to be prioritization and balances, because it is not going to only impact IT. This will impact all of the departments that have a stake in this. If, let's say, finance will have to work with us to define the workflow, train the staff, configure the system. So, those are the things that will affect not only IT staff, but also across the city as well.
Right,
So
this,
I would say a year at least,
okay,
because that is what we're looking at in terms of planning out and execute training, making sure that the investment that we're putting into these expensive systems is well worth it.
okay, thank you, Jackie. I mean, this is top of mind for me. The business that I just bought with a partner a few months ago, we had a patchwork we have a server, we've got a patchwork of all of these vendors we work with, and we are converting to not Salesforce, but a competitor, SuiteDash. And yes, there is a transition, but it's like remarkable to me, stunning to me, where the efficiencies come in. Like, sometimes things are a tenth or 100th of the cost of what they were when you're using a patchwork system. So I actually hear a lot of value here. I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 37 full-time staff we've got in IT. Is that right? 35. Okay, but hope for an increase, right? So I guess the concern I have is every year we add another patch to that collection. If there's a long-term solution where we can drastically change the department.
Yeah.
Go ahead, maybe you could explain a little more about that.
Yeah, so this is not just about technology, right? It is about the processes too. And what happens is, I can give you a very simple example. There was an organization which had money, which had unlimited money, but they couldn't add a new customer because the patchwork of systems for every customer that we add new would take 3 months to onboard, because everything was at a full capacity. And we will run into that if we don't address it at some point, not just for technology, but the processes, because they're dependent on what's underlying. It could be paper, it could be an Excel, it could be some technology, it could be some server, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
So
speaking of servers,
Right.
Jackie, or Ms. Nguyen, can you remind me, how many servers does the city of Naperville have right now?
220 servers, 20 are physical.
Okay, and I mean, one server is a pain.
Right,
So-
and we are not in that business, right, Counselor?
So if you were to switch to like any, not necessarily your company, but any CRM platform, that eliminates servers
It's
in
gone.
our in-house, right?
Yeah. It's gone, right? So,
Councilman Wilson has a
Oh,
comment.
sorry.
Councilman Wilson? Director Nguyen, can you follow up on that, if that necessarily eliminates server? Just to speak on my experience with this, or companies or places that I've talked to, I work in financial technology. Just going to the cloud didn't solve things or necessarily make them cheaper. Performance got worse, or the cloud, cloud is a nebulous term. It's just servers relocated somewhere else. So and those servers may not be as efficient, and then you end up having to use more because they're slower. And that's what I had run into, or talking to other companies, they've dealt with that. So then the cost didn't necessarily go down. So did you want to have any experience with that, Director Nguyen?
Yeah, I think it is all a trade-off. There is no ideal solution. So the approach that we take in the city is that we evaluate the problem that is at hand, and we decide whether cloud is a better solution for that, for that problem, or is it on premise? So, for example, the CAD RMS, Chief and I went in there thinking, okay, maybe this is an opportunity to look at having the CAD on premise, because it is something that is a service tier one, a critical system. Maybe the record management system not being at the critical priority could be in a cloud, so that we kind of outsource some of that work. The issue with that is that now you're talking about interface. So the CAD has to interface to the RMS. The RMS has to have interfaces to other systems on premise and in the cloud. So you have to figure out how to solve that problem. So it is not all about cloud, it's not all about on premise. We're trying to use a balanced approach, what makes sense, and what is maintainable and supportable and the most efficient for the city.
Thanks.
Okay, I think the speaker's request is well received by the council for us to consider some sort of task force or committee to potentially bring together tech people to help advise our city. And we have a board and commission review coming up in the upcoming weeks, and perhaps that could be a topic that gets thrown into the mix for further discussion.
Appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Mayor, could we have a show of hands on that, actually, for specifically this task force?
You want to do a show of hands?
Yeah, I
Recommend the task
think
force?
it's a great idea.
Okay.
So to at least just get the ideas out there.
So you want to put the show of hands up?
Yeah, so I'd ask for a show of hands for a task force of IT professionals in the community to come
Call
together.
it digital, that way it's not just IT, it's,
Oh, say it again?
it's digital, so that it's technology,
Got it.
processes, everything, so digital advisory council, something like that, yeah.
Okay, so basically
Something, yeah.
technology.
Yeah.
Professionals in the community to come
Coming together, yeah.
Similar to a financial advisory board, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yep.
To provide, technical suggestions.
So it would be a task force, not a commission.
I'm sorry, task force, correct.
Task force, yeah.
So is it show of hands in support of Councilman Holzhauer's? I count two? Two. Okay, we're one short. I think it'd be worthy of our review of the board and commission issue when it comes up in a couple weeks, and look at it all again, see where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you.